Little Hands, Big Attitude, Book 5, The Thief and the Sleeper, Chapter 11, Just a Small Favor.
I don't really trust him either, Rouge.
Well, that certainly made the bat feel a bit better. He wasn't a complete idiot, he could still read a room, but his desperation to get answers about himself and his past was what was driving him onward right now. Rouge supposed she couldn't blame him for that. If she'd woken up in a mysterious capsule, locked away for reasons she couldn't remember or explain, she supposed she'd be eager to get context too. Stone was guiding them along through the snow, and Rouge held tightly to Shadow's arm to keep him from stumbling. The drifts were deep, and though the trees and cliffs kept the wind from gusting by them, it was still bitterly cold. How was this man wandering through it in just a business suit and gloves? She didn't like this, not one bit. The RV he led them to looked old and rickety as all get out, but when they stepped inside, it appeared to be only for show, because the interior was decked out with scanners, screens, and all sorts of buttons that did who knows what. The guild would have sold some of their own into slavery to get their hands on this kind of tech.
Wow.
Shadow whispered, looking as Stone closed the door behind them. It was much warmer in here, and some of that might have been just from all the enclosed machinery.
So, your boss is related to my creator, you said?
Correct. The doctor is the grandson of Professor Gerald Robotnik, the one in charge of Project Shadow's development. Your development.
Gerald Robotnik. Yes, that does sound vaguely familiar.
Your memory loss is unfortunate, but expected. Having been sealed in stasis for so long no doubt had an effect on your psyche. But perhaps it will return with a little prompting. What do you remember?
Not much, I'm afraid. Flashes of images, places, but I think there was a girl.
Yes, it appears that the doctor had a cousin, Maria. She was present at the lab as well.
Maria?
Shadow's eyes widened a bit, and for a second, Rouge was worried he'd gone into another trance, but then he turned back to the man.
Glad I have a name to go with the face. Do the records you have tell what happened? Why I was placed in that capsule?
Alas, it is not a tale with a happy ending.
He gestured to one of the seats up front of the RV, and Shadow sat down, and Rouge settled directly behind him. If there was any funny business, she wanted to be ready to bolt with him if necessary.
Project Shadow started out as a project to find and cure a disease that Maria was inflicted with, and perhaps even more. The ultimate life form, this project was supposed to be able to have a genetic coding that could then be used to cure cancer, AIDS, diabetes, everything a human could be afflicted with, and even extend their lifespans.
Sounds awfully ambitious. And that project led to me being created?
Correct. Unfortunately, the government that was funding the project decided that you could be used more efficiently as a weapon for their own ends, rather than a project for healing. Professor Robotnik refused to release you to them, so they attacked the colony to take you by force. The professor, Maria, and several others on board were killed in that attack, and then you were taken by the government and locked away.
But why? If they wanted me for a weapon, why put me in storage?
I don't know, perhaps you refused to help them after what happened.
Stone stood up a little bit straighter.
However, Dr. Robotnik and I have been working on a plan to make this world better for everyone so that things like that will never happen again.
Also quite an ambitious goal, Stone.
The Robotniks are an ambitious lineage, obviously.
Where is Dr. Robotnik now?
The doctor is presently unavailable. He is off on a sabbatical, planning our next step before returning.
I have no doubt we will hear from him soon, and until then, I am continuing to collect the tools we will need to accomplish our mission.
So, where do I come in?
You are a part of the Robotnik legacy, and thus it seemed heartless to leave you sealed away for the rest of eternity. I sought to free you, but it appears that your bat friend was one step ahead of me. Very well. That being said, I do have a favor to ask of you, Shadow.
A favor?
Yes. Not too far from here is a town, on the outskirts of which the doctor has stored away a tool of our uses for safekeeping. I would like for you to retrieve it for me, and we'll be one step closer to being ready.
A tool, you say?
Shadow squirmed a bit in the chair.
I suppose I can try. What would I be looking for?
It is called the Master Emerald.
He made motions with his hands to indicate size.
It is a large, green stone and seems to glow under its own power.
A gemstone, huh? Something of that size must be expensive.
Priceless, and important to our cause.
Can Rouge go with me?
Actually, I think Rouge's skills might be of use in another task.
Rouge crossed her arms, giving the man a glare. Splitting them up already, was he?
So we just go into this storehouse, grab the emerald, and then bring it back here.
By we, you mean?
Shadow's ears folded back a bit.
I'm not going if Rouge doesn't come with me.
Shadow.
I promised I wouldn't leave her, and I keep my promises. Besides, she has experience with this sort of thing.
The hedgehog turned to give the bat a light smile, and Rouge ducked her head into the folds of her jacket collar to hide the blush creeping up into her cheeks. Stone was quiet for a few moments, but then his smile returned.
Very well. Not to worry, I have full faith in you that you won't have any trouble obtaining what we're after.
Rouge frowned and leaned closer to Shadow.
I don't like this plan.
It's still sketch. And even if I am there with you, what if you do the same thing out there that you did on the train, forgetting who and where you are?
Shadow nodded.
I don't like it either. But if I'm as important as Stone claims I am, I don't think he'd let anything happen to me. And you'll be there to snap me back again.
I still don't.
I don't trust him either. It does seem very convenient.
Shadow's ears folded back a bit.
But I have to know more about all of this, where I come from, and what I'm meant to do.
If I'm right?
Then you can punch me if you want.
Rouge grumbled, and then nodded as she redirected back to the man.
Fine. But can we at least get something to eat and drink first? It's been a long few days.
I will get some coffee and scones ready.
As soon as the man's back was turned, Rouge reached around the chair and slipped the teleportation stone into Shadow's shoe.
If anything goes wrong, use it to get as far away from him as you can. I'll find you.
Shadow's ears twitched in a way to acknowledge that he understood. Stone seemed to have not noticed their brief conversation, instead mumbling something about how much his boss loved his lattes. The coffee and scones Stone had offered the pair had helped a little, but Shadow knew that it wasn't substantial enough to last. Coffee wasn't superior to fresh water, and scones, no substitute for good foods like fruit or vegetables, though why he had this opinion of sweets and caffeine was probably a result of events he couldn't remember. He also wasn't quite sure how he'd managed to go as long as he had between eating something. It had been a few days since he'd been freed from the capsule, and all he'd had was potato chips and now a little tea time before heading out on this retrieval mission Stone wanted him to do. He had a location in mind, and somehow, his brain was able to keep that straight despite trying to dump everything else. It was nice of Stone to offer him a watch that they could use to follow the signal right to the warehouse. He hoped it could work both ways so they could get back to the RV quicker. It was cold out here. The directions led them up to a secluded driveway, winding its way up to a small cabin nestled amongst the trees.
Quaint warehouse.
This looks more like a house. I don't like it.
Yeah, getting vibes from it too.
He looked around for a moment.
Wait here.
What?
I don't want you to get hurt if something goes wrong, and if it does,
He very gently patted his shoe.
I got it covered.
So you want me on lookout?
Shadow nodded.
Between the snow and the dark trees, nobody should see you if you put yourself somewhere to keep an eye on things. I trust you.
Okay, but you'd better not get into trouble, Quill Pickle.
I'll be careful.
He limped his way through the snow and up the walk, noticing a vehicle of some kind set beside it. A spare vehicle?
They shouldn't keep it out here in the cold if they want it to stay in good shape. Why do I know that? Ugh, stupid brain.
Shadow reached the front porch and peered in the window, into the dark gloom of what was looking more and more like someone's home. What was he supposed to be getting? His memory was trying to dump that information again. A big, green emerald, right. He looked back towards the trees where he'd just been, and sure enough, he'd lost sight of Rouge. She was there somewhere, he knew it. He felt a humming, and he looked down to his foot. It was coming from inside of his shoe. The stone was reacting to something.
What is it? You picking something up too?
He then wondered why he was talking to the stone as if it were alive. He didn't know why, but he had to admit that his leg hurt a little less with it pressed against his skin. He tiptoed up towards the door, his feet making soft crunching sounds in the snow. This looked like a house, and as he turned the knob and stepped inside, he was certain it was a house. The floor in the entryway was adorned with a rug, couches and a table sat in the living room, and he could smell remnants of something having been cooked lately. The scent was still in the air. It was warm and welcoming inside as he stepped in, shaking snow from his shoes and wincing as his leg throbbed again. He really needed to get that checked out. Wait. He was in a house. He was in someone's house. How did he wind up in someone's house? He grimaced as his head throbbed, putting a hand to it as his teeth clenched. He felt like he should be able to remember why he was in someone's house, but like an etch-a-sketch in the hands of a toddler, his memory and reason for being here had been erased in seconds. Shadow froze as he heard shuffling, his eyes on the partially opened door to one of the rooms. In the darkness, he could make out a human rolling over on the bed before settling once again.
What am I doing? Why am I here? Do I know these people? I hope so, or else we're gonna have a problem. I should go. I'll come back later, just in case.
Shadow gasped as he stepped back and then tumbled over something, and then that something yelped. A dog.
Oh geez.
The dog was scrambling to its feet, barking loudly and its claws clacking on the wooden floor as Shadow started booking it towards the front door. Immense pain shot up his side as his leg slammed into the leg of a chair when he turned towards the front door, and then the piece of furniture came crashing down to the floor with a mighty sound. There was shuffling in the house, the sound of the homeowners waking at the commotion. He had to get out of there. He stumbled on the rug running up to the front door, his feet shoving it back into a crumpled pile, but he managed to make it outside. He crashed into the snow off of the porch and then scrambled through the trees and bushes. The dog chased him until he was well into the tree line on the other side of the road, the dog standing at the edge and continuing to bark. Shadow dropped down behind a fallen log, clutching his throbbing leg and afraid to move as he heard a voice call out from the house. A man stood on the front porch, trying to call the dog back up to the house. After a moment, the dog seemed content with having run the intruder off and returned to his master's side, who was still looking out towards where Shadow was. In the darkness, Shadow was certain he couldn't see him, but he'd better not stick around for long. After a second, the light on the front porch turned on and a woman appeared, peering out of the house, followed by another head of blue quills. A hedgehog much like him. Shadow needed answers. He needed to know what was going on. Stone never mentioned. Stone. That was it. He'd been sent by Stone to get something from the house. But the man hadn't mentioned others like him residing in the home, or a dog, or, oh, jeepers, the man was armed. What was Stone expecting Shadow to do against those odds? Destroy them without a thought. Shadow didn't know where that thought came from, but it seemed both absolutely absurd and completely accurate. He crouched back down under the log and took in a deep breath as he heard the door close again across the road. He peeked out again, and while the lights inside remained on, all occupants had returned indoors, including the dog. They weren't coming after him. At least, not yet. He needed to get out of here before they did. He needed to get back. Which way was it? How had he gotten here?
I can't remember how I got here.
He whimpered, putting his hands to his head and then looking down at the tracker watch, its screen now cracked and empty from taking damage during his escape. It was useless to him now.
Come on, brain. Remember?
Then he noticed it, the mist, the green, glowing mist. It was here, and as he looked back towards the house, he could see it. It was coming from that house. Was it the other hedgehog, like him? Was he giving off the strange glow that had lured him in like a light? Should he go back to the door and knock? Was he actually supposed to be here? An image flashed by his vision, one that he remembered seeing before, somewhere. He was falling, stars flying by him, and he saw the blue hedgehog reaching down towards him. His blue quills then ignited into gold, eyes of green burning into red as he screamed. No. Hold on. Shadow. Shadow snapped back into the woods, finding his hand reaching upwards, as if he'd been trying to grab the hedgehog's hand right back. He pulled it back down, grasping at his chest fur as he shook. Answers. He needed answers. He rolled over in the snow, trying to get up to his feet once more. A sharp pain and weakness in his bad leg sent him crashing back down into the snow.
Gonna rest for a second. Yeah, rest and maybe it'll all come back to me. Rouge was right. I never should have done this. Oh, jeepers, Rouge.
She'd been here with him. Where was she now? Did she fly away to safety? Did she see where he went? He looked around, but didn't see her. That had kind of been the point, though. She'd circle back around and find him. Surely she had seen where he'd gone and would find him when it was safe to do so. He just had to wait.